The convoy is locked in place on a narrow valley road before dawn. One truck lies on its side at the bend. Cargo scattered across gravel slick with diesel. Headlights cut through haze but fail to reach the far slope. Radio traffic stacks and fractures under static. The air smells of cold metal and fuel. Visibility drops under 100 yards. Captain Erin Locke stands outside the lead cab. Headset wire twisted, mic cracked near the frame. Higher headquarters pushes a single order through the noise. Abort and fall back. Her drivers wait for her word. None move. The liability for every vehicle and pallet sits with her. Command channel degrades again. She checks her watch face. Light shaking against the dash reflection. Fuel leaks in a slow stream from the overturned truck. The map tablet glows weakly under her hand. Route lines distorted by vibration. She updates the log clipboard with one steady motion. Recording time and cargo status. Fuel leak still venting under pressure. The cold hangs thick in the low ground. Dust settles on the wrecked steel. Somewhere beyond the ridge, rotor thump carries through the valley, mixing with the constant hiss of open radios. The mission's purpose remains unchanged: deliver fuel, med pallets, and generator units to a forward site before weather closes the pass. Failure means those downrange go dark. Signal integrity holds at 40%. Choke point 0204 hours. Locke keeps her eyes on the flipped truck and the 6 lives ahead of it. Evac window remains closed. Her hand rests on the radio. Calm, deliberate, ready to answer the order she knows is wrong. This is where it starts. Engines idle low in the valley, exhaust drifting through the haze. Headlights push against the smoke still hanging over the overturned truck. Captain Erin Locke listens to the static and keeps her voice steady. Higher command is silent for now. Authority on the ground stays with her. Signal quality drops again to half strength. The map overlay flickers red to green on her tablet. A headset reflection glows faintly in the glass. A short radio click followed by a double beep confirms the net is still live. The operational heartbeat holds. Subscribe and sound off your location. Tell us where you're listening from right now. At 0200 hours, 12 vehicles roll out from the temporary operations center on the flooded coast. Headlights push through rain and mist, reflecting off standing water pooled in the cracked pavement. The mission is routine on paper logistics and medical resupply to a forward site cut off by weather and road collapse. Every mile must be logged, every delay accounted for. The system demands proof of movement, even when the terrain resists it. Visibility falls under 100 yards. Captain Erin Locke commands the convoy. 2 platoons, 1 logistics, 1 security, under battalion authority. Her orders route through headquarters several miles inland. But drone overwatch is grounded by weather. Higher can see the map grid, not the mud. Locke holds immediate control of her line, radioing each vehicle by number and confirming spacing. The ground team calls her actual, and she answers with the same steady cadence every time. Signal quality drops again. Rain drums against the cabs and pings across metal roofs. The air smells of wet salt, fuel, and rubber. Engines idle rough under load, the sound bouncing between valley walls as they enter the low corridor. Brake lights blur red through fog. Each truck moves in sequence, maintaining 20-yard spacing. Drivers speak little, conserving comms for necessity. The convoy advances on procedure, not instinct. Rear truck traction reports slipping in mud. The hillside road narrows. Soft shoulders fade into runoff ditches filled with brown water. A single lane bridge ahead marks the first choke point. Locke checks the digital clock on her dash, 0205 hours, and notes the remaining fuel, 30% reserve. She marks it on her clipboard. Ink bleeding from rain that drips through a cracked window seal. Behind her, the cargo manifest rests folded and stamped, corners soft from humidity. Battery power on command tablet falls to half. She raises the handset. Convoy. Maintain speed. No halts unless authorized. Her voice cuts through static with the clarity of routine. Platoon sergeants confirm. The road hums beneath the weight of steel. suspension systems creaking in rhythm with thunder rolling across the hills. Lightning flashes once, and the cracked bridge rail glints wet in the sudden light. Rain intensity increases beyond forecast. Inside her cab, the map tablet flickers from intermittent signal. Route Falcon, flooded Valley Road. The text displays once before, blinking out again. Locke wipes condensation from the screen with a sleeve, steady in her motions. Her driver glances over, waiting for instruction. "Keep pace," she says. Same formation. The truck ahead disappears for a moment in mist, then returns in red silhouette through its taillights. Convoy spacing closes to 20 yards. Mud splashes up across side mirrors, blurring view. Wipers smear more than they clear. The lowland air feels heavier with every turn into the valley. The radio crackles under interference as a secondary channel tries to open. The message cuts in and out. Partial call sign. Unreadable coordinates. Then silence. Locke marks it as noise. Not yet a fault. And resets the frequency knob. Signal stability holds at 40%. She glances at the inspection seals taped to her clipboard, each one initialed from loading. Every container represents another accountability point: fuel cells, medical crates, and one portable generator lashed in the third flatbed. Loss of any item becomes an incident report. Command wants clean throughput numbers before dawn. The convoy is expected back by 0600 hours, assuming no new obstacles. The assumption, Locke notes, feels optimistic. Visibility now fluctuates under 80 yards. Lightning strobes again, catching the bridge surface slick with runoff. The lead driver reports axle vibration on approach. Locke notes it, adjusts her timing grid, and signals reduced throttle. A ripple of brake lights passes backward through the line. The convoy slows to a crawl as rain deepens into sheets. Each vehicle advances on inertia more than traction. The valley road tilts subtly, channeling water into the inside lane. Rear section fuel clock hits 25%. The radio hums with clipped bursts from battalion operations, routine acknowledgments, weather updates, then a data request for location verification. Locke transmits coordinates by voice. Convoy 2-3, entering Valley Corridor, progressing as briefed. The response returns thin and distorted copy. 2-3, maintain tempo. No mention of conditions. No inquiry about visibility or ground stability. The higher net moves on to another channel. Signal interference increases beyond threshold. Thunder rolls again, closer now, shaking droplets loose from the cab roof. The map overlay redraws itself as green lines drift to yellow. GPS lock fluctuates. Locke confirms her internal log. 0217 hours, convoy intact, movement steady, environmental stress high. She records it aloud for documentation. Her tone remains even. Language clipped for transcript clarity. The discipline of procedure keeps everything contained. Front axle vibration increases under load. A low radio tone repeats twice, the operational heartbeat of the convoy. It's both mechanical rhythm and reassurance. Locke checks the road ahead. Single lane. Concrete guardrail on the right. Drop to runoff on the left. No alternate route exists until the next junction 2 miles forward. She knows the bridge exposure was noted in every briefing. Risk accepted. Signature logged. Oversight complete. The file will read known hazard, cleared. Rain volume doubles within 10 minutes. Wipers beat faster. Losing pattern. The headlights cut across standing water pooling along the inside curve. Behind her, a driver reports hydroplaning for 2 seconds before traction returns. Locke notes it, then checks fuel again, still holding reserve. The convoy pushes uphill against the gradient, each gear shift echoing like a pulse inside the cab. Her driver mutters about the grade. She replies with a single word: focus. Comms traffic degrades below usable clarity. The bridge ahead looms through fog. 100 yards out, a thin guardrail marks its start, steel discolored from years of flood exposure. The river below runs high, foam white in the headlight's reach. Locke adjusts her seatbelt and raises her mic. Convoy, single file. Maintain lane integrity across span. A chorus of affirmations returns, fragments through interference. She listens until the last call confirms. Left lane runoff breaches onto roadway. She glances again at the tablet. The digital clock flickers. 0229 hours. One by one, the vehicles crawl onto the bridge. The noise of rain intensifies, striking the roofs like gravel. Engines strain. The guardrail hums under vibration. Locke breathes once, slow, as she marks the crossing time into the log. Procedure first. Always procedure. Visibility collapses to 60 yards. Behind the static, a faint transmission starts to build, a higher net call forming through the interference. The signal stutters, clips, then vanishes. Locke stares at the radio for a second, waiting for it to return. She knows command is listening, but they are blind to the valley. On their screens, the route appears static and clean, and that's where the first misunderstanding begins. At 0238 hours, the convoy holds position at the choke point. Rain falls steady and cold, running in streams across the bridge deck. Engines idle low, exhaust mixing with mist. Captain Erin Locke stands against the driver's side door, headset pressed tight under her hood. The signal from battalion headquarters is breaking again. Static, fragments of voice, then silence. The words that do come through are clear enough. Convoy 2-3, fall back to checkpoint. Command will dispatch recovery at first light. Locke writes the transmission time into her notebook, water spotting the page before she closes it. Signal integrity drops below half. She raises the mic. Negative copy. I'm initiating on-site recovery. My people are alive. Her tone is level. The response is a hiss of static and a clipped warning. You're off script. Captain. She logs that too. Beside her, Staff Sergeant Reed leans against the mud-caked fender, watching the ridge line through night optics fogged by rain. He doesn't argue. Ma'am, we'll burn half our fuel trying to turn around anyway. Locke checks her watch, sleeve soaked. Then we're not turning. Visibility cuts to under 80 yards. Floodlights hum to life, reflecting off wet armor and creating halos in the downpour. The overturned truck lies halfway across the bridge span, one axle twisted, cargo containers half submerged in runoff. Two soldiers work the winch cables, hands slick with mud, boots braced on the slippery steel deck. The cable hook locks into place with a metallic snap. Water streams from their sleeves. Locke moves closer, writing another line into her notebook. Time, location, action taken. Each notation is evidence. Each step is accountable. Fuel reserve falls to 28%. The winch motor strains under pressure, whining through the rain. Engine noise echoes off the valley walls, blurring with the rhythmic ping of water on metal. Distant thunder rolls over the ridge, and the ground vibrates faintly beneath the tires. Reed calls out the tension, reading from the monitor inside the lead cab. We're near max pull. Locke answers. Hold steady. Don't exceed red line. I want it documented. She adjusts her headset and checks the comms again. Nothing but static. Then, a short burst of half words from battalion ops before the line goes dead. Command link cuts for 12 seconds. Inside the second vehicle, medics tend to an injured driver pulled from the overturned truck earlier. His pulse is weak, but steady. The heater hums low, fogging the windows as rain drums the roof. Locke walks the line between vehicles, boots sinking into mud. Every step leaving deep impressions in the floodlit dirt. The convoy's brake lights flicker against the mist. She counts each vehicle aloud, confirming position and status, her voice low but clear. It's a check for herself as much as for record, as much as for... Rear security confirms unknown heat movement on ridge. Locke turns toward the sound of Reed's voice. He's scanning the slope above with infrared, image grainy through the water streaks on his lens. The shapes are indistinct. Could be locals. Could be nothing. Hold defensive posture, she says into the net. No escalation without PID. The The soldiers at the rear trucks acknowledge. The line settles back into routine silence. Just the rain, the engines, and the distant sound of runoff slapping against the steel bridge frame. Locke notes the report movement observed, not confirmed. Her handwriting holds steady. Cable tension reads near maximum. The winch motor groans louder, struggling under the full weight of the overturned truck. One of the operators steps back, signaling with a raised hand. Locke gives a single nod. The line holds. The floodlights flicker, generator strain showing in the dimming glow. Reed checks the fuel gauge on the secondary truck. 25%. If we lose that generator, we lose recovery, he says quietly. Locke answers. Noted. She marks it. Documentation matters even here. Especially here. Every variable must exist somewhere on paper. Lightning strikes within 200 yards. The flash blinds them for half a second, revealing the valley in hard white light. The ridge becomes a jagged silhouette before falling back to black. The sound follows close behind, shaking loose rain from the bridge structure. For a moment, the radios hum with interference, an audible pulse that bleeds through every channel. Locke steadies her mic, eyes never leaving the bridge. The overturned truck shifts half an inch toward upright, cable screaming under strain. Continue pull, she says. Voice, even, slow, and deliberate. Visibility falls under 70 yards. A new transmission cracks through the interference. Battalion operations again. Captain, confirm withdrawal. The voice sounds certain, detached from the mud and weather on the ground. Locke doesn't raise her tone. Negative. Personnel alive forward. Continuing controlled recovery. There's no reply. She looks at Reed, who only shrugs. They'll see it in the logs, she says quietly, half to herself. Water pools around her boots, cold and dark. The bridge trembles as another gust moves through the valley. Rear vehicle reports tire slippage on incline. She moves to check the line again. The convoy's formation remains tight. Security team holds outer watch while logistics crew works cables and staging. Every 5 minutes, she calls for updates, fuel, ammo, med status, comms. The answers come back clipped and professional. Reserves, 20%. No new injuries. Comms intermittent, but functional. The rhythm of procedure continues even as the situation frays. The method keeps the noise at bay. One casualty regains consciousness. The medic confirms by radio. Locke writes it down. Time, condition, response. It's another proof point in her argument for staying. No guesswork, no defiance, just results. The truck groans again as the winch spools a few inches tighter. Reed glances over at the ridge one more time. Optics picking up faint flashes. Movement. Maybe reflection. Could be nothing, he says. Or not nothing. Locke replies, keep tracking. She keeps her notebook open under the beam of her flashlight. Pages streaked, but legible. Rain intensity increases beyond forecast. Floodwater runs in narrow streams along the bridge joints. The mud at both approaches deepens into ruts. Locke orders the rear vehicle to reposition for traction assist. Its engine growls, tires slipping before locking into place. She hears the sound of the strain through the headset, muffled by rain. The winch line holds steady but creaks under shifting load. Cable tension, she asks. Reed answers, at 90%. Maintain. Document. She keeps her voice clear. The sound of authority, without weight of emotion. Fuel reserve now 24%. The convoy's lights cast halos through the downpour. The ridge remains quiet, shadows unmoving. Locke scans the bridge surface, slick steel, broken guardrail, standing water half an inch deep. The injured driver inside the medic vehicle stirs again. A cough. Then, silence. Reed steps closer. Headset still on. Command will log you non-compliant, he says. Locke answers. They'll log it correct when we're done. She flips her notebook closed, tucking it under her arm. Command channel interference sustained for 9 minutes. Static fills her earpiece. She can hear the faint pattern of voices, out of sync, multiple feeds bleeding into one. Weather has jammed the uplink again. The isolation is nearly complete. She leans against the cab door, sheltering under the mirror, water dripping from the brim of her cap. "Keep the winch steady," she calls out. The operator nods, goggles flashing under the floodlight glare. The truck's frame creaks, axle groaning as it lifts another inch. Rear element reports sound contact in valley. The words come through flat. No panic. Single shot heard, distant, possibly echo. Locke pauses, weighing the report. "No return fire," she says. "Stay under armor until confirmed." Reed adjusts the gain on the thermal feed, watching for any signature in the dark. The screen remains blank. The only heat visible is their own vehicles and the twisted steel of the truck being raised. The hum of the winch deepens. The motor whines like a heartbeat under strain. Signal restoration incomplete. The rain shows no sign of easing. The valley is a tunnel of noise. Engine, water, static, thunder. Locke steps closer to the bridge edge, checking the securing straps. Every motion has purpose. Her hand rests briefly on the bent guardrail, fingers streaked with oil and grit. Lightning flashes again, reflected in the water running along the span. The air smells of ozone and diesel. She listens, waiting for the next instruction that won't come. Fuel reserve falls to 20%. Reed calls it out without being asked. Locke glances at the gauge, then at the line of vehicles behind her. "We have 20 minutes of operational window," she says quietly. We make it count. The truck lifts another few inches. The cable shudders. The floodlights flicker once more. She looks up toward the ridge. Still nothing. She exhales. Calm. Deliberate. Maintain discipline. She reminds over the net. We stay inside procedure until command reconnects. Cable tension reaches limit threshold. The sound changes pitch. The operator stops the winch, hand raised. Locke nods once. Hold. Don't exceed. She steps beside him, the rain now hitting harder, the surface around them rippling. Reed's voice breaks over the net again. Quieter this time. "Ma'am?" Fuel clock's bleeding fast. She answers without pause. "Copy. Document and conserve power." The radio static hisses like a live current. She waits for headquarters to reappear on the line. It doesn't. Visibility cuts to 60 yards. For a long moment, only the rain moves. The convoy holds. The truck is nearly upright, cable lines vibrating under load. Fuel tanks dip closer to critical. Comms remain unstable. The ridgeline glows faintly in the distance, then fades again. Locke glances toward Reed, who meets her stare without a word. She presses her mic once, checks for signal, and hears only static. Recovery initiated at 0238 hours. The bridge hums under stress, a deep mechanical resonance. Engines idle. Thunder rolls. The rain increases to a near solid sheet. Locke adjusts her headset, notebook closed against her chest. Every system, the fuel, the comms, the structure, stands at its limit. One more order away from collapse. At 0310 hours, the aerial relay feed reestablishes. Static fades into partial image, then full resolution. The radar overlay that triggered the retreat order redraws itself in real color. The so-called enemy contact dissolves into heat reflection from the overturned truck's engine block and residual surface moisture. Command's data error is now visible on screen, an echo misread as movement. Captain Erin Locke watches it unfold on the tablet resting against her knee. Signal feed stabilizes at full integrity. She presses her body mic. Correction. No hostile presence confirmed. Recovery ongoing. Her voice remains flat, audible over the low idle of diesel engines and the ping of water dripping from the bridge rail. The report transmits cleanly to battalion operations. A pause follows. 5 seconds of silence before a different tone returns through the net. Copy. 2-3. Stand by for verification. Locke doesn't look up. She scrolls through the drone's visual spectrum feed, marking thermal variance by percentage. The evidence is clear. The system corrects itself. Thermal distortion clears. Pre-dawn light begins to break through the overcast ceiling. Steam lifts from wet asphalt, hanging low across the valley. The convoy remains in formation, all vehicles accounted for. The overturned truck sits upright now, held by steel cables glistening with rain. Floodlights still cast diffuse glare across the water pooling near the bridge joint. Locke adjusts her earpiece and checks fuel readings. 20% remaining. She logs it on the clipboard resting across the dash. Rain continues, lighter now, tapping against the roof in slow rhythm. Command channel restores with verified data. Battalion operations calls back. The tone changed. Convoy, 2-3, confirm all personnel accounted. Locke replies, affirmative. 12 vehicles, all present, 1 casualty stable. Her words are concise, every syllable suited for transcript. A second voice joins the net. Operations Duty Officer, Captain, your visual confirmation overrides prior assessment. Update status for log. Locke reads directly from her notes. Recovery complete. No hostile engagement. Environmental interference misidentified as threat movement. She pauses. Data attached. Civilians marked at 150 yards east. The drone pans left. Through clearing mist, faint light flashes. Green chem lights held by civilians near the ridge road. Their signatures pulse steady on the tablet display. Locke focuses on them, then relays coordinates. Mark civilians. East position. 150 yards. Possible displaced personnel. Battalion Ops replies. Received. Dispatching forward team. The system acknowledges her find. The tone across the net has shifted from command to coordination. No apology. No commentary. Only process. Convoy reforming. 10 vehicles mobile. Engines rise in volume as drivers recheck their gearboxes and formation intervals. The convoy breathes again, mechanical and orderly. Staff Sergeant Reed reports over the net. All lines secured. Recovery truck functional. Cable release confirmed. Locke responds. Copy. Reform. Convoy. Prepare to roll on my call. Her sleeve is soaked through. The ink on her notes smudges faintly, but the timestamps remain legible. She wipes a smear with her thumb and continues recording. Proof preserved is authority earned. Fuel reading falls to 20% reserve. Steam curls from exhaust stacks as vehicles warm up. Visibility expands past 100 yards. The ridge becomes visible in full outline for the first time in hours. The air is heavy with diesel and rain, but clearing. Locke watches her team work. Methodical. Silent. Efficient. Reed moves between trucks, checking wheel locks and tie-downs. Mud sloughs off boots into shallow puddles. The worst of the storm has passed, but the weight of exhaustion remains. Procedure continues without pause. Rotor wash crosses the ridgeline. The medevac arrives low, rotors thumping across the valley. The sound merges with residual static still bleeding faintly through the comms. Locke shades her eyes against the downdraft as it passes overhead, pushing mist aside. The pilot's voice cuts in. Visual contact on your convoy. Holding position for pickup. She transmits acknowledgement and instructs her medics to prepare for transfer. The recovered driver will move first. The sound of stretcher clasps clicks through the air like punctuation. Final verification logged. Battalion Operations speaks again. Tone formal. Captain Locke. Hire confirms your correction. Original withdrawal order rescinded. Authority delegated to you for route continuation. Locke notes the time, 0338 hours, and records the acknowledgement word for word. Copy. Authority delegated. Continuing permission plan. She glances down at the recorder light on her mic, still glowing red. Every transmission archived, every phrase admissible. The system documents itself in real time. Signal traffic normalizes across all channels. The sky lightens further. Cloud edges silver under the first trace of sunrise. The rain has weakened to a thin mist. Water runs in shallow streaks across the asphalt. Locke steps from the cab to survey the line. Headlights stretch in sequence down the causeway, reflected in puddles that look like narrow mirrors. Steam rises from the bridge surface, curling upward around her boots. She breathes slow, method steady. Reed approaches. Convoy ready. Ma'am. She nods once. Civilians escorted through forward route. Two figures move along the east ridge, guided by soldiers carrying portable lamps. The civilians wave chem lights as they approach the first truck. Locke records the interaction time and distance. Contact established with civilians at 150 yards east. Escort initiated. She watches until they reach cover under the lead vehicle's floodlight. The drone overhead tilts slightly, framing the moment from above. Each image becomes another line of confirmation for the after-action record. Drone feed archived for command review. Inside the cab again, Locke transmits her final field summary. Convoy, 2-3, all vehicles accounted, no casualties pending evac, fuel at 20%, route continuation authorized. The response from Battalion Ops arrives almost instantly. Convoy 2-3, excellent work. Proceed as needed. Authorize continuation at 0340 hours. The phrasing is exact. The acknowledgement official. Locke repeats the words for log clarity. Authorize continuation at 0340 hours. Her voice is steady. Her tone neutral. Rotor tone fades behind Western Ridge. Engines move from idle to slow forward gear. The convoy begins to roll. Mud spatters under tires, replaced by the even hum of motion. The bridge structure groans once, then settles back into silence. The overhead light fades as the medevac banks away. Static lingers on one frequency for a moment, then clears completely. Locke sets her clipboard against the dash, writes a single line across the bottom: recovery complete. Command verified. She caps her pen. Visibility now exceeds 150 yards. The valley opens ahead. The convoy passes the span in measured sequence, headlights cutting through thinning fog. Rain becomes drizzle. The ridge stands quiet. Command's earlier misreading is already archived in the logs, labeled as radar anomaly. Cause environmental interference. Accountability is transferred from confusion to correction. The record closes the loop. The mission continues, lawful and intact. At 0340 hours, the last truck clears the bridge. Engines rise. The sound of the rotor fades to distance. The convoy reforms under clear instruction, each vehicle slotting back into the chain. The immediate threat is contained. The evidence is filed. The authority stands corrected. At 0600 hours, the temporary operations area is quiet. Early light runs along the concrete, striking the sides of parked vehicles. The air smells of oil and rain. Captain Erin Locke sits at a workstation inside a prefab shelter, uniform sleeves rolled, headset resting on the desk. The keyboard clicks softly as she types her after-action report. Every sentence matches time to record, action to justification. Her tone stays procedural, exact. Report filed at 0600 hours. Outside, the convoy gear dries in neat rows. Boots thump lightly against concrete as personnel clean tools and coil cables. A flag moves faintly in the morning wind. The only other sound is the distant fade of a helicopter leaving the valley. Inside, the digital form blinks, cursor steady, line by line. Locke enters the summary deviation under authority of command discretion. Life-preserving action validated by later evidence. She reviews for precision, then submits through the proper chain. Transmission receipt confirmed at 0600 hours. The terminal displays a new line of text acknowledged. Correction entered. The acknowledgement is simple, final, and clean. Locke watches the status bar complete its cycle, then removes the headset cord. The system's language is unchanging. No reward, no reprimand, only record integrity preserved. She prints one hard copy for the battalion file, signs the block, and initials the final page. The room is still. Gear rests dry and silent. The sound of a flag halyard taps against its pole outside. She closes the folder, places it on the outgoing stack, and exhales once. The light through the open doorway cuts across the room, soft and even. Order, restored through documentation, not force. Accountability holds. The record stands. Justice remains procedural. The valley is quiet now. Convoy taillights fade through low mist, their reflections soft against standing water. The cracked visor on the passenger seat catches dawn light. Inside the cab, a faint engine hum holds steady under the sound of one radio tone and a single heartbeat layered beneath the mix. The cursor on a digital form blinks like a signal waiting for input. Convoy distance from choke point now 3 miles. Orders move down the chain again. Clear, lawful, final. Higher command says hold position. On the ground, a subordinate sees what headquarters cannot time bleeding away. Lives still reachable if she acts now. The regulation is explicit. The moral weight is heavier. One path preserves the rule. The other preserves life. Obey or act. Comment below. Do you follow the order and trust the system? Or act under your own authority and document every second for review? Answer in the comments. Dawn rises over the recovered route. Steam lifts from wet asphalt as the convoy rolls forward in low gear. Engines idle smooth under the steady hum of a drone passing overhead. The bridge site fades behind the formation, its surface clean and quiet again. Inside each cab, dashboards glow, faint green. The logs are closed, verified, and archived inside the chain of command. Every action remains traceable, every order reviewed. Next operation file opens in 5 minutes. Across the ridge, wind carries the sound of moving trucks and distant rotors. The last radio check confirms continuity. No ceremony, no broadcast, just calm transition. The screen on a command terminal shifts from the convoy data set to a new header line. Next file loading. Like and subscribe to stay in the record. The next mission file is already queued in airfield without power, where silence decided the outcome. We move forward at first light. Engines idle low in the valley, exhaust hanging under cold fog. One truck lies on its side halfway across the bridge, cargo scattered, fuel running into the drainage ditch. Headlights pulse against mist and rain. Captain Erin Locke stands in the open, headset pressed tight, voice steady against the static. Higher command cuts through once, distorted but clear enough abort. Fall back. Recovery will wait for daylight. Visibility drops under 100 yards. She notes the time on her clipboard, checks the fuel gauge, and looks toward the 6 heat signatures trapped forward of the wreck. Wind carries the smell of diesel and iron. The mission clock still runs. If she moves now, they can clear the span. If she waits, they lose both personnel and cargo. Her mic crackles with silence from above. Signal integrity holds at 40%. Her hand rests on the transmit key. One decision left before daylight.